Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to Crusader Kings III as we are playing as Adam II, King of England. So as I said at the end of the last episode, we're going to have another little history discussion here at the beginning of the episode about Henry II and his empire, how he built it, and largely, where he was at around 1154, 1155, when he became the King of England. What his empire looked like, as well as how he initially extended it in the first 10, 15 years of his reign. So we'll just kind of look at that, kind of compare it to our own empire, see who has the largest one at this time. And then in addition to that, we'll talk a little bit about his wife as well, which is Eleanor of Aquitaine. Remember, if you want to skip any of these intros, these historical discussions, or whatever I happen to be going over in the intro, I do always try and put a pinned comment with a timestamp that lets you skip right to the gameplay. And this should be about maybe 10-15 minutes is what I'm aiming for to try and discuss this. And because there's so much to talk about with Henry II, and he is my favorite King of England, I did want to really go into some detail about his reign, about his children, different things that happened. So this will not be the only section where we talk about Henry II. Maybe not next video, but maybe the one after that. We'll go into some different matters when it comes to Henry II. Main thing we're looking at for this first one is his empire, though, and how he built that. So he was the son of Matilda, Empress Matilda, and her second husband, which, remember, her first husband was the Holy Roman Emperor. And that's why even after she was no longer married to him, she was still called the Empress Matilda. That's why she went by that title ever after. And her second husband was Geoffrey of Anjou. And he held this county, which was, the land he held was more equivalent to what the duchy here is, even though he was the Count of Anjou. And so he held all these provinces here. And she married him, and then of course we've already discussed the civil war between Matilda and Stephen and the results of that. But during that time, her husband Geoffrey was really not involved for much of the civil war. He didn't really help out that much through the majority of it, and he was criticized quite a bit that he didn't help his wife. And eventually he decided to finally get involved in the conflict, and he invaded Normandy, which was under the control, the Duchy of Normandy was under the control of Stephen at the time. So he invaded Normandy and conquered it, made it his own. And not long after conquering it, he gave that title to his son, Henry. So Henry became the Duke of Normandy. So the Duchy of Normandy would be the first lands that Henry would gain and control. So much like William the Conqueror, Henry's empire was originally, at least at first, based off of the Duchy of Normandy. Now his father would eventually die, and all his lands, which again were more the equivalent of the Duchy of Anjou here than just the little county that we see here. And all those lands would be inherited by Henry. So Henry II, at this time that we're talking about, would have control of the Duchy of Normandy and all of the lands south of it here. So now let's pivot over to the discussion of Eleanor of Aquitaine. So Eleanor had a vast amount of lands under her control, and she would marry the King of France, Louis VII. In their marriage, it did prove fruitful. They did have a couple of daughters. However, they were not able to have a male heir. Louis was really frantic about this. So eventually they ended up having the marriage annulled, and it wasn't just about the fact that they didn't produce a male heir. Louis and Eleanor did not get along. They had a lot of issues. They went on a crusade together, and during that crusade, the relationship really deteriorated quite a bit. And again, they were just constantly arguing and having issues. And so they finally annulled the marriage on the grounds that, they were too closely related. I think they're like third cousins. I don't even think they're second cousins. But really, that was just an excuse to do an annulment, and, basically saying that the marriage should have never happened in the first place, rather than doing a divorce. And so they had the marriage annulled, and not long after that, after the annulment, Eleanor would leave Paris and travel back to her lands. So she wanted to travel to this county here, and so she's traveling from Paris to this county. So, not that far of a distance. But during that time, she had to worry about several French nobles attempting to capture her in order to force her to marry them. So she actually had to disguise herself and travel with just a couple of her most loyal servants. And she did all that to avoid being captured. So that they, because if she did get captured, they would have likely forced her to marry them in order to gain control of her vast lands. So she was able to successfully make it there, and not long after getting there, she then propositioned Henry II, which there is probably a good chance that they had already been in discussions secretly well before this occasion. Probably for months they had been in discussions about a potential marriage between them. But about 8 weeks after her annulment of her marriage with Louis, she would marry Henry II. And so Henry II at this time, of course, has all these lands here in northern France. And so what does the Duchy of Aquitaine contain? Now, if we were to just look at it here in the game, which it's right down here, if we just look at the duchy map mode here, which I guess the better way to do it would be to look at it in here, so we don't have this open. So these are the duchies here in France. And so this is the Duchy of Aquitaine, but Aquitaine at this time was not just this one duchy right here. The Dukes of Aquitaine have for a long time, through marriage and even a bit of conquest, have been extending their control over much of France. And so at this time, the Duchy of Aquitaine actually contained a vast amount of land. As we were just looking at these duchies here, which it doesn't align directly up to the duchies, we're talking about like all of this, and again, doesn't align directly to the way these duchies look here. But basically, all of this was underneath the Duchy of Aquitaine. Now, I will mention that there's a little bit different situation down here. We'll talk about that in a little bit, because it wasn't directly under the Dukes of Aquitaine. Again, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, she had a vast amount of lands. And so all of that was added to Henry's empire. Now, all this land, of course, was still considered to be underneath Eleanor. Like, that was her land. But as her husband, Henry did have some power there. But overall, for the most part, the nobles here did not really recognize Henry as their liege or even as their duke, even though technically he was. So he had very little power throughout this realm, so that should be mentioned. But it is part of his empire, and it would be, of course, inherited by his children. We'll look at exactly how his empire looked as far as the counties or close to it once we get to the point where he's conquered all the territory he's going to get here in France. Because next, he becomes the King of England. So we've already discussed how Henry became the King of England. Matilda and Stephen are in a civil war with each other for quite a while. The civil war is not going well for either of them, where neither of them can really achieve victory per se. And eventually, as I mentioned before, Stephen did consent to agreeing that Henry II would be made his heir and would become the King of England when Stephen died. Now, the reason for that is a bit more complicated than I have previously discussed, because again, we just kind of briefly mentioned it. But essentially, what exactly happened is that Henry invaded England. He had invaded a couple times and tried to help his mom out, and he'd been incredibly unsuccessful as a young man. Eventually invaded again, though, when he was a little bit older in the later parts of the war, the last couple years of the war, and was actually a bit successful. He had a couple victories, and it went well for him. And the combination of that, his invasion of England, and the fact that Stephen's firstborn son and heir died, that was really what kind of led to Stephen agreeing to make Henry who would be Henry II, his heir. Now, he did have a second son, Stephen did, but his second son wasn't really interested in ruling. He had not been raised to rule, so even though he did have another heir, an additional heir, it was essentially agreed that Henry would be the best pick to ascend to the throne after Stephen died, which ended up being very, very quickly after the agreement had been made. Stephen died, I want to say stomach cancer. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what we now assert is what killed him. So that drastically increased his lands, obviously. But let's focus on France and exactly what happened here in France once Henry had become the king. Now, this is a very complicated relationship that is not represented in the game in any way, because Henry is, his own liege. He's a king now, so he's the king of England underneath nobody for these lands. He's the highest lord of England. But here in France, that was not the case. Obviously, all France is nominally, at least, under the under the lordship of the King of France, and so he had to pay homage to Louis as his vassal. He had to recognize that he was a vassal of the King of France, and so a very complicated relationship that's not represented in this game because you can only be as a king. You can't be a vassal of another king. They don't have that in this game. And understand why it would be really, really complicated, I think, and would cause a lot of issues. But you can never be a vassal of somebody of your same tier in this game. So because of that, you never really get the complicated relationship that you had in reality between the King of England and the King of France for many years. Because, again, they were their own liege as the King of England, their king, but at the same time, they're also underneath the King of France. All their lands are. They did have to pay homage to those lands as a vassal. Now, let's talk about Brittany. Now, while he was the Duke of Normandy, Henry had been attempting to increase his influence over Brittany. Now, he eventually did directly take over this county here. This became, combined to all his lands here in Anjou. This was all under his direct control, but the rest of Brittany, he didn't directly control it. Instead, he chose to, or for the most part, he didn't directly control it until the later years. But for the most part, he decided to allow there to be a Duke of Brittany, and that he would just be underneath Henry as a vassal. So he didn't directly control it, and it wasn't really generally considered fully part of his realm. But for CK3 purposes, since he was the liege of the Duke of Brittany, we'll declare that this was all part of his realm, since in CK3 it would be. So he owns all of this, all of Normandy, all of Anjou, which we do not own. Remember, we're comparing this to our own lands here. He had a bit of lands up along here, I think, a little bit of lands right up over here that we don't have. Again, counties don't separate, the way they did historically. He owned, again, all these counties here. He also owned this county. This here was France. So right here at this county, this is where the French line starts. And then it goes down this way. This is all underneath Henry's, at least nominal, rule. I believe he had this county as well, or at least part of it. I might be wrong about that one. I'm not entirely sure about this county. He definitely had this one, though. And then he had all of this here. Now, I don't know exactly where the line is here. I want to say it was on the river, but I could be very well wrong with that one. But I know he had this county. So right around here, this is basically what the line's looking like. Up like so. And so he definitely controlled quite a bit more territory here than we do, since we don't even have any of these patches here. And then, of course, he had all this land down here. All this was under the Duchy of Aquitaine. He didn't have this county here, so that's one extra county that we have. Now, there's this duchy right here. Now, this was not a duchy at the time. This was all owned by a count, the Count of Toulouse. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, just correct me in the comments. But we're going to pronounce it Toulouse for now. And so the count here was technically underneath the Duchy of Aquitaine. But by this point, they had largely become independent. Not independent from the Kingdom of France. They're still definitely within the Kingdom of France. But he's not really recognizing the Duchy of Aquitaine, the Duke or the Duchess there, as their liege. They're pretty much independent in a sense. So that was something that Henry II focused on quite a bit during his rule, was attempting to regain for the Duchy of Aquitaine influence over these southern lands here. And he was actually quite successful at doing so. Now, again, he had never, the count here was never actually independent. He was technically always underneath the Duchy of Aquitaine, so it was really more just gaining confirmation from him, agreement to that. And by the end of Henry II's reign, it had very much been effective. For the most part, the count here had tied himself to Aquitaine and not Louis. And this took several conflicts for this to be resolved. But he did eventually gain all this territory as well, technically, for his empire. So again, a lot of land here in France that we do not have. And then again in Brittany, this would also result in a couple extra conflicts here where he would start to gain more and more direct control over that territory. So a lot more land here in France than we have. Looking at the British Isles, though, a little bit different situation. So here in Wales, now again, nominally, all of Wales recognized Henry II as their liege. But in this sense, I would say that really only the southern part of Wales was under him in the way that CK3 would recognize it as him being the liege. Up here in the north, I would say not so much. The control of Henry II here was just, it was not very strong. He did not have a good control of the north. Again, they recognized him as their superior liege, but they didn't really even give him anything. They didn't give any money or levies or anything like that. So they were very autonomous here. So I'd say in a CK3 sense, they probably wouldn't have been underneath Henry, just because he had so little control over here. Now you could make the argument that maybe they're under his control, and then when it comes to the feudal contract here, like they just have a lot of rights, if we were to bring this into CK3 terms. And they just had a lot of rights here. It probably didn't, maybe, I wouldn't say exempt, but at the very least low here, because they weren't legally exempt from taxes or feudal levies. So you could make the argument at that, but I don't know, man. I would say that they barely recognized Henry II. So I would say that the north here would not be under his control, but the south, definitely. He went in here and eventually conquered all this, made sure that they're underneath his rule when he decided to invade Ireland. He wanted to invade here. Again, we talked about this in the previous episode, or one of the previous videos about Pembroke here. He invaded from here across to Ireland a little bit later in his reign in order to increase English influence in Ireland, because at this time, again, technically many kings would declare that all of Ireland was under their rule, but it very much wasn't at this time. By the end of Henry II's reign, though, almost all of the island at least recognized Henry II, the King of England, as their lord. Much of it, anyway. Not all of it, probably about maybe 75% of it. But that didn't last very long, though. They had a lot of troubles. Ireland was always a very troublesome province for the kings of England. If we talk about any further kings, and I'm sure we'll go into Ireland a bit more. The point is, though, he did increase English influence over Ireland quite a bit. At the time that he took over in 1154, he did not have as much land as we technically have. We have this one county, and I would say that that's more than he had, because, again, they did not recognize the kings of England as their lords. I mean, technically they did, but they really didn't, which is the whole reason why Henry had to come here in the first place, or he didn't go there personally, but why he sent his men over here and kind of helped increase their influence. So at the 1154, I would say that we have more land here. Of course, we're in 1152, a couple years before that, but I'd say we have more land in Ireland than he did when he came to the throne, but eventually he would gain more land than we currently have. But, by the time we get to that point in history, we might actually have more control of Ireland. Now, when it comes to Scotland, here's another area where we definitely have a lot more control than Henry did. I'd say that his land stops around here. Again, it's not perfectly clean here, based on the historical borders at that time, but I'd say his land stopped here at these two counties, and then the rest of Scotland, which we own quite a few counties here, were not under his control. So again, he would increase his influence over Scotland a bit more later in his reign, but they never really were truly under his rule. So comparing our empire to Henry's, I'd say that he probably had the larger empire overall. While we have a bit more influence than he did in 1154 in Ireland, and definitely a lot more influence than he would ever really truly have here in Scotland. Also in Wales, I'd say we have a lot more lands than he did. So in the British Isles, our empire is larger than his, but in France here, it is definitely quite a bit smaller. So that's all we're going to talk about when it comes to Henry II today. Again, I do feel like I want to go into quite a bit more when it comes to Henry. For this one, I really wanted to focus on the building of his empire and, his overall, the size of it, comparing it to ours. That's what where we'll stop here in this episode, where we'll stop with the historical discussion. We'll continue with Henry a little bit later, maybe in a couple videos from now. compare where he was at and discuss some of the other matters that happened besides just, conquest. But I would like to note, though, to finish this off, that France was much larger than it is here in our game. France has lost a lot of territory to the Holy Roman Empire, and of course, the Duke of Burgundy here is completely free. Now, all this should be, technically under the King of France. Historically, it was at this time. So Louis did have a lot more control over this territory here in the east than he does here in our game. But regardless, you can see that Henry II very much controlled the majority of France, or a big chunk of France, a lot more of France than Louis had. So that's where we're going to leave that off. Let's go and get started in today's episode, where we are currently attempting to do this scheme here. We can't do any wars right now. We did just finish one, and we are going to go ahead and deal with those prisoners. That's one of the first things we'll do here. We could change up her as well. Yeah, we could change up her feudal contract here. I don't know if there's a reason why I chose not to do that. Maybe it's just because we had just gotten control of that, and thus we haven't done it yet. So we will. We'll go ahead and have her give us more feudal levies using that hook that we have. All right, excellent. Okay, so that's been done. Let's go ahead and deal with these 15 prisoners we have. See if we can't make a little bit of money. Because we need a lot of money to do the things that we want to do next. So getting 160 gold here would be super useful. And I think this is from, is he from the Scottish or the French conflict? Okay, yeah, it looks like he's from the French conflict. So let's go ahead and get rid of all these guys. Another 160 gold could be gotten here, but we have to wait until he's willing to agree to that. I'm a little bit surprised he's willing to. I don't think he's gonna agree to that. It says he will here, but yeah, I don't think so. We'll take a look. We'll have to wait until we're done with that. So we could get 137, 160 here. That's not bad. Yeah, we'll take that, guys. It's not quite as much as we could get, but you never know. We might not be able to get anything later. And when we have another one of his people as well. Let's do the 160 here. Yeah, we're going to make an absolute ton of money, guys. Yeah, this is crazy, just how much money we're going to make from this overall conflict. Now, we'll probably keep the Countess in here. She's not doing well either. Yeah, she's having a rough time of it. Same thing with this Duke here. I want to say that he was refusing to pay us or give us anything. We'll see if he's changed his stance. Maybe it was just that he was broke. Yeah, it could have been that he's broke, and I said, nope. Yeah, these guys are all broke. So that's probably why we haven't done it yet. Could do 160 here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to get a ton of money from this. Oh, okay, I remember why we were keeping these guys. Because they're a different face. Got it. Could get a little bit of money from her. She's broke as well. How is our dread looking? We might want to increase it. So let's go ahead and do so now. We could also just get a bit of money for this character. So, we're going to wait to do that one. But with her, we can go and execute her and get 30 dread. Get us back up to 100. Because, yeah, he's just going to be executing everybody in his prison. So I think that's it. We can't demand the payment there. She didn't have any money. I think that's all we needed to do here immediately. Now we just need to accept all these responses and should get a good deal of money from this. Probably enough to go ahead and get those titles created in the first step towards creating our empire. So Marshall earns respect. So this has got a plus 50 popular opinion there. Excellent. Okay. So we're at 1,034 gold here. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of our prisoners and see if any of these were, situations where we had already done a deal with them and couldn't do another one. Yeah, we already said we weren't letting her out. Yeah, we're not going to let any of these characters here out. We'll see. Yeah, we already checked him. Yeah, she doesn't have any money. So we'll just have to wait until some of these characters get a little bit more money. So I suppose we can go and create our titles now. So I think we should be able to create them both. So we have the Kingdom of Wales and the Kingdom of Brittany. We'll do the Kingdom of Brittany first. And then we'll do the Kingdom of Wales here. Alright, so we now have 3 total king titles. Very, very nice. And now we're just trying to get enough money to do the empire here. I want to say that's all we had to do. We need the piety still, that's right. And we need the fame up. Okay, so the fame and the piety, and then other than that, we're good to go. So we already determined that we were going to do the piety through the pilgrimage. I think it makes sense for Adam. And one of the prisoners in our dungeon died, unfortunately. So yeah, I think it makes sense. And we were not able to sway the Duchess. All right, we're going to try one more time, guys. We'll see if this... I mean, it's got a 66% chance. You'd think the second time we'd be able to make it work. So we'll try it again. Because, again, we're trying to romance her. Because it's a character that we hate, and he hates us. You can see he just not like us. Not one bit. Just take a look at him again. It's a negative 65 here. And that's because we do have several earldoms that he wants. We got a ransom offer, 132 gold here. We'll decline that. We'll just let it sit, because I think it's 166 is the max that we can get there. So we'll just wait, be patient. We need the money, guys. We need a lot of money. And we did finish the construction up there. Excellent. So we can do one more here. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we want to get here next. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't want to get anything. We need to save up our money. We got so much stuff we have to get because, you know, it does cost money to do the pilgrimage. So we're going to want a few hundred gold for that. And then, of course, we need the 1,084 gold to do the found a new empire. And then the idea here is that I didn't realize we were going so slow. By the time that, we already have it. Never mind. Yeah, we're about to have it now. Now, let's decline both of these, because they're just not good enough. By right, my vassals informed me of an obscure law in the earldom. So is this the one about, oh, okay, this will give us the claim here. And Earl Aubrey would become our rival if we decided to do this. So yeah, it states that none but the king may be its protector. Normally such an archaic law would be dismissed, but it offers me a unique chance to put Earl Aubrey, my vassal and current ruler of the earldom, in his place. And so we can say he can keep his title by my grace, or we can say the law is clear, and then we get the unpressed claim here. And this has always been an area that I've been wanting to extend my territory in. However, we could always do it anyway because we hold the duchy here. Now, having a claim on just the earldom would result in nothing really. I don't think. I don't really see any benefit to that. I mean, because we already have a claim to that. But because we're playing as Adam, I feel like we have to do this one. The law is clear. The king has full rights. I think we would do that. So we're just going to piss him off. And he's going to be our rival now. So we'd expect him to act against us. And we do have a faction here. It no longer has the power. I think after I killed that one guy and we got the dread up, I think we probably pushed out the one member that was here and was strong enough to get it where they could send an ultimatum. We do want them to rebel. I don't see him here yet. So hopefully when he joins, if he joins, you'd expect he would, since we're rivals. If he does join, then that'll be enough to push the faction over that line. So again, we can't really declare war on anybody right now. We have to wait until the peace treaties end with France and Scotland. And there's really no point on attempting to attack anybody here in Ireland, since, you know, he controls almost all of it. And there we go. We gain the next fame level. So remember, we had to get that. And also, our vassal, Duke Roger, created a cadet branch. Okay, I thought that they were already a cadet branch. Is he a cadet branch of a cadet branch? Because I think that's exactly what happened here. Yeah, because I could have swore, does he have... I could have swore that the Dukes of Normandy were already their own branch. Maybe not. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, actually. Because, yeah, I could have swore they were. Let's go and take a look at our prisoners again. Which, remember, getting that extra fame level will increase our secular opinion by +5 and give us one more knight. But most importantly, allows us to take that decision. So we're going to go and check and see if any of these people have the money we need. So, yeah, we're not letting that guy out until he gives us the full 170. Look here, yeah, none of these guys have any money. I think they're spending it, honestly. We get 139 of 170. I think she's the one who offered that. And we have plenty of people of other dynasties and other religions that we can execute. We need the money, guys. Definitely need the money. I think we have enough now, though, to go ahead and go on that pilgrimage. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. Maybe we'll wait till we get that money real quick. Alright, so we're at 381, so let's go ahead and go on a pilgrimage. Prepare for the journey. It is time for me to set out on my journey to one of the holy places, but which one shall we go? So, I feel like King Adam, remember he participated technically as a ruler in the crusade for Syria. However, he didn't go himself. You know, he was I think he was still a child at the time. So I feel like because he didn't go himself, like he's always wanted to go to Jerusalem. So I think that's exactly what he's going to do. It's the most expensive one. So it's going to result in us being the negative. That's okay though. So let's go ahead and go to Jerusalem. And as I prepare my journey, I know that I will travel safely under the protection of God. I'll be gone for a long time, and I can only pray the Lord watches over my realm well. Another event regarding our dog Shadowed, the Troublemaker. My Chancellor, Duke Ethelward, I think that's weird, approaches me, rage in his eyes and a dog in his hand, dragged along by the scruff of his neck. How dare he touch my dog like that? As he reaches me, I see that it is my dear Shadowed he's holding. I found this beast among my things. What wasn't chewed to bits was covered in excrement. So he pooped all over his stuff. Alright, well, I am not okay with a duke treating our dog that way. You say, I'll compensate you, or he's just a dog, which is exactly what we would say. We're not compensating him for anything. You're lucky I don't punish you for touching my dog that way. Alright, so we again fell to sway here. We're not having good times with that. We'll try it again, guys. We might just have to try and romance her without the swaying, though. Because, yeah, we just keep on failing despite the 66% chance. So we have our first pilgrimage event. As my entourage travels through a small town, I feel a tug on the hem of my clothes. Turning to look, I see a thin, raggedy man staring up at me. Oh, great lord, I beg of you, could you spare some coins for a poor beggar? I am starving, and none of the locals will aid me. Though I am indifferent to his plight, being on the pilgrimage reminds me that the compassion for the less fortunate is expected from all devout Catholics. So, because we have the arrogant trait, we can say, you dare touch my clothes, peasant. We can say, in God's name, I guess you can take these coins. It would cause us stress because we're arrogant. Or we can say, go get a real job and earn your keep. I think we'll say this one. Obviously, we are arrogant, so I feel like this is the one to say, and we're going to kill him. Wow. All right, well, that's it. That's what Adam's doing, man. How dare he touch our clothes? And we're really angry about that Duke touching our dog too, and we couldn't just kill him because he's the Duke. So we're taking that on this poor fellow. So the next one is bandits. I wake to the noise of chaos in camp, but it only takes me a few moments to realize what is happening. We are under attack. Bandits are swarming our tents and wagons while our guards do what they can to resist. So you say, where's my sword? I'll drive these dogs away. Feels like exactly what Adam would say because he's very arrogant. He doesn't know that he has a prowess of 6 and he will die. We can say there has to be somewhere around here I can hide. And that would be an intrigue challenge. And we'd hide under the wagon. I just do not see Adam hiding under a wagon, honestly. Or we say, stop this madness, I'll pay whatever you want. Yeah, we gotta say this one. That's a 56% chance because of the prowess challenge. And our prowess isn't great. We'll gain 75 prestige if we succeed. And we'll get wounded if we do not. And we fended him off. Well, look at Adam, man. So we gain a little bit of prestige from that. And because of our wife's, well, I guess it's not because of her stewardship. It's despite her poor stewardship. We have an impeccable household. Again, 150 prestige. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. So did we arrive there? Yeah, it looks like we just got there. No other city in the world has a history quite like Jerusalem. In addition to the many other holy sites there, the city contains the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I probably butchered that. Built over the combined places where Jesus was crucified, buried, and resurrected. Standing outside of the Temple Mount with my hand on the western wall, I find myself reflecting on everything that has happened on my journey to the city of legend. So we're going to gain 875 piety. We get the trait Pilgrim, which grants more piety per month. And same faith of opinion +5, which will be super helpful. We're still trying to get that archbishop to like us. And we also gained the determined pilgrim, which is giving us more piety per each knight that we have. That's a lot of piety. And with that, we have increased our level of devotion. So we are now faithful. So that's another +5 to the opinion. And looks like we have another faction created against us. Apparently they don't like that we went on a pilgrimage. And then we have let's take a look. Do we have him up? Yeah, almost. -1. We're almost there. So that should just naturally happen in about, I don't know, maybe a year or two. We'll get into the positive as we lose the anger. He stops being so angry with us. That will be helping out quite a bit, guys. That's a lot of money and a lot of levies. So yeah, that'd be really nice that we get that. We can now ask the Pope for more money, and we will do that. Yeah, because we need the money. So I think that would be the best way to fix our issue here. So yeah, let's go ahead and ask him for money, and hopefully it's not too much piety. 250, so plenty. We have plenty. And so that'll get us closer to, what is it, like 1,000 gold that we need right now? Yeah, we just got 511 from him. Gets us out of the negative at the very least. And so now we need 819 more gold, and then we have everything else we need. We have the 600 in prestige, we have, or excuse me, the 600 piety, the 2,000 prestige, and so we just need 1,200 gold. Can't spend any more money except for on events. The return. My journey has been a long one, but I have finally come home again. While much remains the same, something has changed in how the priests and bishops treat me. I have undergone the journey of a holy man, and they insist it has changed something about me, whether I can see it myself or not. Okay, so the pilgrimage ends. So again, we're just going to be focusing on getting this imperial title. And there's really not, we can't really declare any wars right now, because again, we still have these truces. When do they end? With Scotland it ends. Something happened over there. Oh, looks like our wife has succeeded here. All right, excellent. So let's just take a look at the truces real quick and when they expire. So the one with France expires on 1157, while the one with Scotland expires on 1155. So a little over a year from now, and then we could get involved in a conflict. All right, so we still have the alliance, of course, because she's our spouse. But because this is, she doesn't have a kingdom title here. These are, duchy equivalents. That does mean that she lost control of this, which went to her brother. However, the county here in Dublin, as well as this county here, is all still underneath her. So when our child inherits here, we should end up inheriting about not quite half of Ireland. So pretty good. Very, very nice. I think it's a good marriage overall. So no, that's not enough. We need more. Okay, so again, just wait until we get that money. And we also finish up that fascination. Excellent. So that's going to open up a lot of buildings to construct. One thing I didn't notice, because this is my mistake, I'm so used to playing on the first start date, which is, was it 800 something? I think is the first start date in the 9th century there. And I'm so used to starting on that one that what I didn't know is that we could have upgraded these. We had the techs, the innovations to upgrade these a long time ago. As you can see here, we have them. So I just wasn't thinking about the fact that we started in the second start date. So we could have got these a very long time ago if we had upgraded this. Now, given money has been pretty short for us, we know, and we spend it as soon as we get it. But if we had upgraded these this here, we could have gotten these upgraded a bit further than they are. Here's the thing, though, and it's not really a negative thing. I do typically, I think I mentioned this last episode or the one before that, I do focus on building new buildings before upgrading some of these, because the thing is that the first building gives a lot more like money and levies and stuff than the later buildings, than the upgrades do. They give quite a bit more, especially the later upgrades. Now, the later upgrades do have the advantage that they give a lot of really good bonuses to your troops, and we do need to pick a new fascination, by the way. So this is picking one for us. We'll pick one here in a minute. I don't think we'll do windmills, but yeah, I do find that it's better to build to construct new buildings before you do all the upgrades, like go all the way up to level 4 here. And that's as far as we could have gone here. But yeah, I don't really feel like that's the best option many times, just because the benefits that you're getting. And let's just take a look at one example here in London. We'll just look at the first one, the homesteads. So if you can see here, you're just not getting as much. So the supply limit's just is not that useful. How often do we have troops sitting there? It's really not useful at all to us. And so with both of these, we're getting 0.2 gold per month. But with this first one, we're getting 50 levies, while this one we're only getting 25. Overall, it's just not as good. You'll notice that it does that continually. Now, with this one, you're getting the plus 10%, but again, only 25 levies, and then your gold's only going by 0.1. So this might end up resulting in more levies because of the plus 10%, but you are getting less gold than you would. And so each building is typically, until you start getting to later ones where you're getting all these realm bonuses for your troops, it's just not as good. So it's not that big of a deal that we didn't upgrade those to level 3 and level 4. And we were building in all of our counties that we had. So it's not really a problem. But if I had known that, I probably would have upgraded to London. Definitely not the other locations, but I would have upgraded to London a little bit earlier than we did. Lively livestock. As additional payments in recent trade, I find myself in possession of a large herd of cattle. I have been assured that the animals are of the highest quality, but the question of what should be done with them remains. So you say Middlesex will prosper from the herd. We'll get plus 10% development growth. You say it's a beautiful herd, but it could be larger, so we'll attempt to grow it with our stewardship. So we could go with that one, and that's the large cattle herd bonus, so it's going to be even more significant at plus 20%. Or we can say the hides will turn nice profit, bring the cleaver. So which one would we do? We're impatient, so I feel like we just have to go for the money, because we wouldn't be willing to like wait for the benefits that having this large herd would provide. So I think we'll probably just kill the herd since we're impatient and we want the money now. And of course that does fit with what his goal right now is, which is of course creating the empire. And he needs 1,200 gold to do that. So let's speed this up to the final setting. We finally were effective on improving relations with her. Good God, that took forever. It took so long that I'm probably not going to do it again, because it's going to be even a lower chance of succeeding here. So let's go and abandon that. And then we're just going to go ahead and attempt to seduce her now. 95% chance of success. So let's go and start the seduction scheme. And 15 months. That's when this is going to happen. So another event for our dog. The council meeting. As me and my counselors are gathering for a meeting, my dog Shadow approached me with begging eyes and a drooping tail. He doesn't like to be left alone, but this is an important meeting. I would say he will join me. Our dog has no place in a council meeting. We would definitely say he would join me. We don't give a shit what our vassals say. I am sorry, King Adam, says my Archbishop Guthmund. I have to disagree with what you just... And then our dog growls at him. Shadow gives a guttural growl, and Guthmund jerks back, looking from the dog to me and back. On a second thought, I think it is a great idea. So we gain prestige from that. Alright. I think that there are some different outcomes that can actually happen with this. So yeah, we gain a little bit of prestige. Another faction was created against us. So far, no factions are able to create, to send an ultimatum. This one actually got weaker. And so Scotland lost their war. Or no, won their war, excuse me. Yeah, he won his war and increased his land spit. Okay. We finished the keep in London, so that allows us to build all these other buildings now. Yeah, this allows upgrading this. Again, though, it's so expensive, man. With the 800 gold, that is like really expensive. And I don't know that I can suggest just doing it early on because of how much it is. Think about how many buildings you could get for that 800 gold. What you get here is just not worth it. So again, I would suggest, like, we're not gonna build the fort level up in our other counties anytime soon, more than likely, unless we're just sitting on an abundance of gold at some point. we'll really focus on, again, just upgrading other buildings and constructing new ones in the areas where we can. So we have our first perk available since we got the golden obligations, and so we knew we were going to get that one, and now we really have a choice of which route to go here. And so between the three of these, one I'd say I really don't think he would go down as administrator. Well, the name seems like something he'd go for. If you look at many of the names and effects of these ones, the likable and the soon forgiven, honored to serve, I don't think that this is the route Adam would go. I don't think it's very fitting for him. Architect could work for him, I suppose, but I think the most fitting probably is this one that we started down. I think this is the best one. It's the most fitting for him. So we are going to go ahead and go down this one. Now, after we finish this tree, we might go with a different focus, perhaps, a different lifestyle, I mean, where we're going to be a bit slower than we are with here because it's outside of our education. But yeah, I think we might end up going for something else. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that. What do you think we should go with architect after this one, or if you think we should go for maybe intrigue or any other lifestyle if you'd prefer after we finish this tree. Obviously that's going to take a while, but feel free to voice your opinion down in the comments below. So we have 3 choices, and I feel like we have to do I feel like we got to do this one first. Yeah, I think we're going to do this one first. It is my domain. Use the extort subject's decision. So let's go for that one. And if it's available, we'll do it now because we need money. So we need 400 more gold to take this option here. We can do it every 2 years, and we have the opportunity to take gold from someone in your realm. This is exactly what Adam would do. So the very purpose of my vassals is to support my efforts, of course. While they already pay taxes for the privilege of being our vassal, I cannot help but think of how much more I would earn if they all chipped in just a little more. Great wealth for me at barely any cost for them. So we can say, what a perfect solution. We'll get 350 gold. We extorted our vassals and we'll decrease their opinion. We will get some dread from this as well, so get it back up to 100. We can say, why take a little when I can take a lot? And we'll gain 520 gold. It is tyrannical though, and we'll also gain a lot more dread. Or no, their obligations are already fulfilled. I'll say, what a perfect solution here. He's not an idiot, and he's not greedy. So we're going to do this one. So we'll get another opinion hit, and we're almost to the gold that we need to create our empire. Troubadour's dedication. A troubadour will soon be performing for the court at Dunkeld. It would be a simple request to have him change the performance to be a dedication to the Duchess, the target of my affection. We have 3 options here, but there's only one that we can actually take, because all these you can't take because you're impatient, and there's no traits that would result in us taking any of these other ones, I think. So we have to take this one here. But one thing I want to comment: why is she standing like this? Does she always stand that way? It looks like that's her stance. It's kind of a strange stance. Maybe because she's zealous. Is this like she's in prayer or something like that? Yeah, it's kind of a strange way to stand. But 55% chance that we'll be successful, and we'll get a plus 15 success chance, or we'll lose success chance. So let's hope we're successful here. She likes it. How dare you embarrass me in public like that? Did you want me to have to explain what the words meant to my husband? Oh yeah, I guess that would be stupid, but okay. So another ransom offer, which is just not enough money, and we did lose our steward, unfortunately. So we need to find a new one. All right. So we have 4 probable vassals that do not have a position yet, and the Duchess Isabel of Mercia is a great marshal. Yeah, I think we're gonna appoint her to that position. Yeah, she'd make a very good marshal. So she'll have to replace the Mayor John here. So we'll put her in that place in a minute. As far as our other probable vassals and their stewardship, they're all pretty garbage, guys. Overall, they're garbage in just about everything. I suppose the Duke of Northumbria's marshal isn't bad. They could make for decent chancellors as well, but we already have a chancellor, so I don't think we'll be appointing any of these other ones. We're just going to find maybe the Duchess of Brittany. She's almost a powerful vassal. I think she'd be the next one. Maybe not. I don't know. We could appoint her. There's also the Duchess of Sicilia. She'd be a good option as well. Let's do, oops. Nope, don't want to do her. We're going to do, yeah, we'll do her. That's fine. Either of these would work, I suppose. Yeah, we'll do her. Increase her opinion a little bit. She's going to continue promoting culture there, where she's actually almost done. All right, excellent. So the other thing we need to do is go and appoint that one duchess, the Duchess of Mercia, here to our marshal position. And now we have pretty decent advisors overall. Yeah, they're all pretty good. The Chancellor's the lowest. So she was able to finish that task, and they are now English here. So we'll no longer be getting that opinion penalty. It wasn't much anyways. It's like 5 or something like that. -5. Yeah, it's not much. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we now no longer get that penalty. All right, lovely. So we'll have this done here in 7 months. 90% chance of success now. And our counselor died. Which one was this? I think that was our spy master. I have discovered that the Countess inherited... Okay, so we have this event here again, and we can get increased taxes with her. So the Countess of Sussex. Let's take a look and see what she has here. She doesn't have anything. So yeah, we could go for either. I really prefer the levies, honestly, though, over the money. So yeah, I think we'll just do the hook here. Now, one thing somebody was mentioning is that you're not going to get the opinion penalty here, and that's the one benefit of going this way. But that's not the case though, because you get the opinion penalty just for having this on. It's not for changing it. It's you always have it as long as it's on. So I mean, you only get an opinion penalty if you're being tyrannical. So yeah, if we just change it to feudal taxes, we'll still get the opinion penalty. And I don't know why it doesn't notify you of that, but yeah. So yeah, let's go and do this, guys. And then we'll modify her contract. There's nothing we want to do with her, right? Like any marriages or anything like that, like force anything on her. I suppose there's not really anything that we'd want to do. We could, of course, arrest her if need be. Let me just see here what the chances are with the hook. A 49% chance, so you can increase the chance of arresting her. But I think we'll just modify the contract and get more of her levies. I'm just going to modify that. A reading in Dunkeld. The celebrations have come to an end, and the evening's entertainment seemed to be over when the Duchess suggested a reading. A clerk soon arrives, wondering what the guests would like to hear, and I see my chance to impress her. So we can have him read about religion here. This is all going to get us the smoldering chemistry. We gave her our smolder look. I could see him with his smolder. Yeah. So that gives us a plus 20% chance of succeeding there. So yeah, we want to pick one that fits for her. Well, she's very religious, so probably something religious, and that would fit also for Adam as well. So yeah, we're going to go for that one, and I think both characters would like it. She seemed to be completely engrossed. She later approaches me and says, "Good choice, Adam," she says, and she brushes off her blouse. All right, excellent. So that'll get us back up to the full 90%. We do need to find a spy master here. And we still have our 3 powerful vassals here. And Duke Roger of Normandy is okay. And I think he's good enough to give him this task. He's also terrified of us, so he would work fine as a spy master, even though he doesn't really like us. It should go in the positive, though, once we make him the spy master here. So yeah, we'll go ahead and make him the spy master. That's okay. We're not really doing any schemes right now. There's really nobody that Adam wants to kill. I mean, he has, of course, his rival, which he could kill, the Earl Aubrey. And then, of course, he has his old bully. But with his old bully, I feel like his thing is not murdering him. That's too quick. Too quick and too good of an end for this man. I think here we're trying to destroy his life and embarrass him. We took his title, and now we're going to take his wife. So, yeah, I don't think there's anybody that he wants to kill right now. So this prince here has announced to the world that he... Okay, so yeah, we've seen this here. More heresies are spreading throughout the Christian realm. So if we were to just take a look, France has got Cathar followers everywhere. So our fervor increased as a virtuous bishop is being celebrated. And it looks like we have another crusade happening. And I think that King Adam II wants to go. And I think he wants to go personally. I think he's going to lead the crusade. He doesn't know that he sucks. Guess he's so arrogant. He thinks he's awesome as a leader. And we do have the money as well to do the empire. So we'll have to do that. But yeah, I think we're gonna help out here. This is again on Syria. Did they conquer this from them? That's what it looks like happened here. Yeah, unfortunately. We lost it again. So I'm guessing that our characters lost all the land here too. Yeah. Okay. So we got to go back. Do the same conflict. And we're going to say my warriors will be ready to fight. So we have the money. So we can go ahead and found a new empire. We have everything we need here. And I think we're going to call it, there's a lot of choices here. Different options. People have already kind of made some suggestions on different choices we could make for the name. Let's just go ahead and say this now. Now you can always name anything yourself though, of course. Because right now we're called the Empire of England, which is not going to work. So we'll look at that in a minute. But let's read this event here. A realm reforged. I have done what no one else could do. I have united the lands of England with those of Brittany and Wales. All of my vassals and priests have finally gathered before my throne. I have earned this moment in their eyes, and more importantly, in the eyes of God. As the Pope places the crown upon my head, I declare my new empire. It is what my servant vassals are here to witness, and the declaration leaves my lips. All the power of my realm, spiritual as well as temporal, kneels before me. So we become the emperor, and that will become our primary title. We now have a really cool crown. That's a super cool crown. I feel like it's better than his crown. Yeah, we got a super sexy crown here. So that's going to result in a couple things, guys. First of all, we're going to get more renown because we have an emperor here. That's double the renown that we're getting as a king. So quite a bit more renown overall. Also, we will get more prestige. So that's always going to be helpful here. A lot more prestige overall. So we get that. In addition to that, we can give out our kingdom titles if we so desired. We could hand these out to vassals, though probably won't be doing that. But technically, we could. All of this right now looks like it's going to be going to our grandson, or excuse me, our nephew. George would be inheriting all this. We cannot change his focus or anything like that, unfortunately. I almost want to ask for control of this for this character. Yeah, I think we might offer guardianship here so that we'll have control over him. And she would accept this. So let's go and send that proposal, since I don't know if Adam's going to have any kids with his wife. We'll try and seduce her again. Again, I don't think we're going to attempt to romance her. But yeah, maybe Adam never has any children at all. That's a possibility. We'll have to see what happens, guys. He's so distracted with other women right now. So he's not really paying attention to his wife. So yeah, we are now an emperor. So there's something else that resulted in us getting. Oh yes, that's what I was going to bring it up. The higher vassal limit. We now have a 60 vassal limit, so won't hit that anytime soon. We should be good to go there, even if we get control of our our mom's lands. So we need to go ahead and appoint our beneficiary here. I think we'll do Hugh here, which he is of that branch from East Anglia. See, I think we'll pick him. We'll select him as our beneficiary, and we are gonna select this here. I didn't do this before, and that was the reason why we weren't, even though we were the number one as far as participation go, that was the reason why we didn't get the highest title, because we weren't preferring them over the favored candidate, which was that woman, the English woman, from one of our vassals' lands. I think it was Bedford's. Yeah, I want to say it was Bedford's lands. Like maybe, might have been one of his daughters. Not entirely sure. I don't remember. But the point is that she got the lands, and that's because I guess she had a claim on those lands. So that's the reason why she was the favored candidate. And so because of that, she got the title rather than our vassal member. So yeah, this is what we're going to do, guys. We're going to go and make sure that he gets it if we're at number one, which we're going to try and be number one. It might be kind of hard, though, if Adam leads his own troops, though, because he is so damn cruddy. He's not good at that. He's not a good leader of men when it comes to military matters. Just seeing if there's anything here available. We might want to take a look and see if any of these vassals, or excuse me, if any of these prisoners are ones that we want to ransom off here. As far as their religion goes, let's just kind of go through these. I wanted to keep, yeah, we'll keep some of these guys in here. Yeah, we'll keep them. But if these ones want to be ransomed, they don't have the money, do they? Yeah, they don't have the money, so they'll have to wait. Wait until they get more money. All right, and I believe this year we should be able to declare war on France or Scotland, one of those two. And of course, we did gain our grandson as our ward, so now we can change up his education. So right now he's doing diplomacy, and I want him to do intrigue because he has the charming. And if he's going to be our, our character, which he might, I don't think so. I think we'll have a kid eventually, so I don't think he's going to inherit. But if he does inherit, I'd like to do the intrigue because he's got the trait for him to do well, and that's the only branch that we haven't done yet. The only education, I should say, they haven't done yet. So yeah, we're going to do that, and I think it'd be fitting. I know that as of right now, his diplomacy is higher, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and change it to that focus. And he now pursues the knowledge and the art of intrigue. All right, so we'll have events related to our nephew. And is there anything else we need to do? I don't think so. We won't declare war. We can, but we won't because we might as well wait until the crusade, right? Yeah, I guess we'll just wait till the crusade. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. There's no reason to declare war on anybody when we're about to be sending our troops quite far away. And if we want to be number one in that war, then we got to do it, early. We can't be going late. So the Dutch's reactions to my advances tell me everything I need to know. The time has come to put my plan into action. I think my chances are good, yet I must remember that the Dutch's husband, Duke Samunder, is always watching. I hope he is. I hope he sees this. I want him to know. So we can say go ahead with our attempts, and yes, we will, of course. In her chambers, a shiver of anticipation finds its way up my spine as I find my way to the Duchess's chambers. As soon as she opens the door, she brushes off her blouse, smiles confidently, and pulls me inside with a grip on my shirt. As her arms envelop me, the fire in my chest bursts into flames, and the rest of the night is spent in a warm and fiery haze. Alright, so we can say, my honeycomb, let us meet again, and she'll become our lover. Or we can say, she knew how to please a man, in which case we're just going to lay her with the one time. I think she's got to be our lover, right? That's the way we embarrass him the most. Yeah, let's do that. And I want him to find out too, so hopefully he'll discover this. So we have a lover, and with that, we could end up having some bastard kids as well. So we can see if we're the problem, or if it's our wife that's the problem for us not having any children. Shoot, maybe Adam II. Oh, nice. We can attack to get control of all Munster. Yeah, that'd be nice. Increase our lands there, but again, not right now, guys. We need to focus on this conflict in the Holy War. And it looks like another war is happening here with our mother. Got a new patriarch, so he endorses us, so that's going to increase the money we get, and most importantly, it's going to result in us getting a lot more levies, almost 17,000. Yeah, that's pretty good. So he finally died. It took him a long time. Indiscretions. As the Duchess's belly grows, there can be no doubt she is with child. She has said nothing, but could this be a result of our carnal relations? I must ask her about it myself. Yeah, that's what we're going to say. I want everybody to know this is our child. She says, of course it is yours, Adam. I worry that someone will have heard her, but we remain alone with the silence. Good it is, too, for I suddenly have a lot to think about. So you can say the two of us, a child, and the secret stays hidden for now. Or you say this is joyous news and must be shared. Of course we're going to share it. The entire purpose of this is to shame our bully. So yes, we're going to share it. The whole world will know. It's joyous news. Everybody should know. And so now we're an adulterer. And we lost a level of devotion because, we just sinned. So that makes sense. And of course, the Empress is pregnant at the same time. Whoa! What's going on here? That's interesting. She's pregnant at the same time that our mistress is. Huh. Okay. Hopefully it's ours. So, yeah, we have 2 pregnancies going at the same time. That's a stressful time for Adam right now. And then he also has this war here that his mother's requesting him to participate in. We'll take a look and see what this is about and whether we want to or not. So, because remember, we're not going to get any of her lands. So, I don't know if we would help with this. She's defending in this war. And it's over this duchy. She might have trouble with it, but you know what? I feel like our mom, she's not even giving us the titles that are rightfully ours. She could defend her own damn land. And you know, right now, I feel like Adam is entirely focused on getting ready for this crusade. You know, outside, of course, his adventures in the bedroom, which apparently he's just been going to town on 2 ladies. But outside of the little adventures in the bedroom, I feel like he's really focused on just preparing for this conflict. So we can now demand payment from this petty king here. Okay, in Verona. Interesting. Oh yes, of course, because we have the hook on him and he's a member of our dynasty. Got it. So I don't know what all we'd want to do with that, because again, you can't offer vassalage with and I understand why. They'd be a little bit overpowered if you could just do that with a hook. Maybe if it required you to have a strong hook or something like that, or maybe if when you hit it, it just makes it more likely that they accept rather than, you know, forcing them to accept it. I suppose that would be a good option. But yeah, I understand why you just can't force it with a hook, especially a weak hook, which are so easy to get, or can be so easy to get. So yeah, we can get some money from them. And I don't know what else we'd use a hook for here in this particular instance, but I do want to show you guys his realm. This is the realm he has inherited. He has quite a bit of lands. These all say petty kingdoms. They're duchies, of course. He has 3 total duchies and about 5 counties underneath him, counties, excuse me, and then a bunch of vassals. So yeah, he's pretty powerful overall. I would say he's probably the most powerful ruler in Italy, actually. Yeah. Definitely the most powerful ruler in Italy. Croatia has a lot of power in Italy too, apparently. Yeah. In fact, their main title seems to be over here. Their capital. Interesting. But anyway, I think we would go ahead and demand payment from him. It would only be 96 gold. He doesn't have it because it should be 185. So we should wait until he has the money. Maybe he paid for the crusade. That's why he doesn't have any money. Man, look at all of these claims. It's because we're an emperor, that's why. So we're getting a lot of these kingdom claims as well, so we could like vastly increase our lands overall, including probably, I don't know if we've got anybody because I didn't see them, but I'm wondering if anybody has like a claim on the entire kingdom. Look at Duke Roger, man. He's got a claim on all this territory here. That's a lot of territory on the, yeah, he's got an entire claim on the entire kingdom of France. Wow. Yeah, we could really increase our lands overall here. That'd be very expensive, of course. Again, though, we are concentrating on the crusade, which is going to be happening in 7 months, guys. 7 months. So let's go ahead and speed this up. We should end up having both of our babies before that time as well. Duke Roger converted from English to Norman. Okay. He's no longer English. And the Duchess finished her task to increase control. Excellent. So I think we'll likely keep her on. No, we're gonna have her on the train commanders. Yeah, I think we should have her do that. Get our commanders better, and maybe we should look at knights if we can. We cannot. All right, we don't have the option for that. Could hold a feast or call a hunt. I think we will hold a feast in preparation for the crusade as well. You know, as a final feast. Before we actually go on crusade, and then also to celebrate the birth of our children, where we should end up having 2 kids here in a minute. So out of wedlock, the Duchess has given birth to her daughter. Though I ought to be joyful, my heart is heavy with doubt and fear. So it will stay until I have made my decision. So we can legitimize her, or I cannot dishonor my family by legitimizing a bastard. We can always legitimize her later in the future. I don't think we'd legitimize her anyways. Plus we have another kid coming with our actual wife. So we won't be doing that. We're gonna say I cannot dishonor my family by legitimizing a daughter. Let's go ahead and name her. I don't think it'd be Ailey, our first daughter. I mean, she is our first daughter, but yeah, I don't think we'd name her that. Maybe just go with another family member here. See what we can find here. Maybe something after a sister? Yeah, maybe a sister. maybe a well-like sister. I don't know if we have any well-like sisters. He is our rival, by the way, now. He wasn't our rival before, but he is now. Excellent. So we have Ailey, we have Elizabeth, and Joan, and Sibylla. Maybe our youngest sister is our favorite? Yeah, that's what we'll call her, after our youngest sister. But we'll say she was our favorite. And we won't be legitimizing her. So we had our first daughter. Excellent. So I'll probably bring her to court if she's not already. I don't know who's court. Yeah, she's in his court. I would not want our daughter in the court here, but we can only be the guardian to 2 children. So yeah, we probably won't be able to, unfortunately. Yeah, because we'd want to be the guardian of our soon-to-be heir, because this is going to be our new heir. And our grandson is our nephew is no longer our heir. Now, we will probably go and keep him as our ward for now. With a tired yet blissful smile, Dogila presents me with a perfect little daughter. One day, child, you will carry on my legacy. What name would befit such a mighty lady? I almost want to go with Eleanor after we had that talk about Eleanor, but we are going to name her after our mother, Ailey. May you be a strong and wise ruler, my daughter. Okay, so we could be the guardian of her, and we'll see if we're going to do that or not, based on whether they have any sons in the meantime, before she comes of age, or comes of educative age 6. We have more payments demand. Again, the king doesn't have any money. Oh, wait a minute, this is the king of Scotland. Okay, neither one of them have the money yet. And of course he has insulted us, our rival. I was eagerly going about my business when Duke Samunder came up to me and insulted me straight to my face. So he came all the way from Scotland to do that, all the way down to London. He called me an impatient coxcomb. I don't know what that is. I respond to this defamation with a slew of my own insults. Maybe that lying wretch will answer to me in a duel, or I will do the right thing and turn the other cheek. Well, there's absolutely no way we turn the other cheek. We are quite arrogant, so we might find ourselves doing this here and trying to battle him. Maybe, because again, we are arrogant. That doesn't necessarily mean that we'd fight him. If we did this, we're gonna lose 150 prestige, and we're gonna anger him. And he spends 100, so yeah, we're just yelling at each other, and everybody just kind of views us negatively because we're acting like a bunch of children. Yeah, or we can do the duel where you can actually potentially get prestige. Well, no. Looks like you spend the same amount of prestige as what you gain. Okay. And we get wounded no matter what happens. Okay. I see. Well, it really doesn't have any effect other than we're going to be wounded. Would we duel him, though? I feel like we wouldn't, because we're the ones that insulted him. We're the ones that, I mean, he's insulting us, but the whole reason why he's doing it is because we fucked his wife. I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect. So he comes and he's the one that's angry right now. We got our revenge. Like, we're very pleased with ourselves right now. This is not us, of course. But yeah, we are very, very pleased with ourselves. So I feel like, you know, when you have this kind of situation, you know, the man's mad at you because you slept with his wife. In this particular situation, I feel like he probably wouldn't want to fight him because we're not the ones that have the grievance. He has the grievance. So yeah, I think we just throw some of our own insults out in this particular case. And I wasn't too worried about the injury or anything like that. Our Duke did have his prowess increased. Excellent. The crusade for Jerusalem. So just in time for the crusade. So let's go ahead and pause it. And we'll be raising our armies up down here. So let's go ahead and move the rally point. I don't actually know where the damn rally point is. I don't remember where the last place we fought was. I think it was in France. Yeah, I think it was France. So it should be right here. Here we go. So let's move it down here. It's slightly closer. And then we'll raise up our armies. Let them rally. It's going to be 20-something days from the rally together. There we go. Turn this down just a little bit. And then we'll get them together and send them off. We only have 10,000 despite the fact that, well, we used to have a lot more levies. We don't any longer. Did we lose support? We did. We lost support of the Patriarch here. That's a real bummer. He's got a Patriarch now instead of Archbishop, because that is based off of your title. So as a king, you have Archbishop. As a Duke, I think it's a Bishop. I know as a Count it is. It's a Bishop, not an Archbishop. And as an Emperor, it's a Patriarch. So we need to get this up higher. That's a real bummer that happened right when we're going to war here, because yeah, we lost all those troops. Like, yeah, that's a real shame. All right, well, whatever. We have 10,000 troops. I guess it helps with the money, because we would have to pay all those guys. So yeah, it's just a real shame we lost it right here as we pulled the units up. So we'll only have those 10,000 for the war, unfortunately. We'll be sending them off to the conflict next episode, because unfortunately this one is over. So we'll send them over here to Syria, and hopefully we can be the one to get the most points in the conflict. Now, as far as how many troops are involved, they have a total of 10,000 right now. They haven't pulled any allies in or anything like that. I don't even know if they have any allies. I guess we can take a look and see. It doesn't seem he has any allies. Okay, so yeah, he only has those 10,000 troops, so us alone could probably defeat him. So yeah, we'll send our troops over there. We won't worry about not being the first. Sometimes you want, somebody else to be the first so that they can, take the brunt of the initial attacks. But in this case, I feel like we're all right. We probably won't be first anyways, simply because of people being a little bit closer. You have the Italians that will be able to send the troops there before we do. So far, not as many allies, not as many people involved as I thought there would be. Yeah, maybe they just haven't joined yet. You can always join later. You don't have to join immediately, though. I don't know that the AI does that. Yeah, the AI might not, only join initially. So this might be all we have. But again, we do greatly outnumber them, 26,000, 10,000. So not going to be a problem. That's before mercenaries, of course. So yeah, this should be a fairly easy conflict, and we'll hopefully be able to get our own dynasty on the throne this time. And I doubt they'll keep it. That's very difficult for them the Crusader states to prevail here. It does look like the Byzantine Empire has continued to expand, though. Yeah, look at this. They've been expanding their realm in North Africa, and yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it looks like they're attempting to. Yeah, they gained all this territory up here too. They didn't have this before either. Yeah, Byzantine Empire is on the rise again. Interesting. All right, well, this is the world map, guys, and this is what we will end on. I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode, that little history section in the beginning. Again, we'll continue talking about Henry II as well as his children in later episodes. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. I do hope to see you guys on the next episode, and thanks for watching.